All right, here we are. This is the Woodbridge Conservation Commission regular meeting, December 15th, 2016. As always, we start with public comments. There's nobody in the audience for public comments, but I did get an email, and I asked if I could include it as public comments, and she said yes. So this was an email from Kathy Wick. Kathy had attended the walk that we had done, and she sent me an email with some follow-up information that she had turned up, and I'm just going to go ahead and read what she wrote here. I'll paraphrase the town council report and the review alternatives because it's a lot. So I'll hit the relevant parts that she had highlighted. All right, so in the email, Kathy says, I assume you've seen these minutes, but just in case, I have copied them here for you. The town attorney first proposed selling this property. It was because he thought that the trail did not actually cross the property. This is 31 Enoch Drive.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the discussion very well as I was in the room. As we now know, the trail uses the property quite extensively. This fact alone, in my mind, should eliminate the sale from consideration. And then Kathy includes minutes from October 8th, 2014, where the town council report states, Mr. Wiener reported that in 1999 the town purchased the 6.2 acre lot at 31 Enoch Drive. According to the board minutes, the purchase was made to provide access to the Greenway Trail. Mr. Weiner also asked if the board wanted to consider selling the property if it is not needed for access to the Greenway. I was just paraphrasing.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the minutes of December 10th, 2014, there was a section on 31 Enoch Drive as well. And Kathy highlighted this part. Mr. Weiner said he understands that the lot was originally purchased for access to the Greenway Trail that borders the upper portion of the lot. However, there is an alternative access to the Greenway through another easement. And then Kathy went on to say, it seems clear that the sale was only considered because town council was under the mistaken impression that the trail access was actually on the gas line easement rather than on 31 Enoch. Your good work has made clear that in fact, the opposite is the case. Has there been an appraisal for the land that assumes it cannot be built on and that it has trail easement? I imagine the price under those conditions would be quite low, surely under $100,000. I would like to know how much the town paid for the paving and when the bill was paid. I consulted a zoning attorney about the sale of the property that was purchased with open space funds. She indicated that she felt that such a sale would be a breach of trust and would set a problematic precedent. However, because the land does not have any official conservation protection, the sale would not be illegal. Perhaps such legal protection should be put in place. And Kathy went on to say, one other issue which is probably not part of your commission's task in making a recommendation, but if it was up to me, I would suggest that the town negotiate a buyout from the association. Perhaps the town could provide a service to the association, plowing for example, for an agreed upon time period in exchange for a buyout.
The dates she references seem to be more recent than the dates I somehow have from memos regarding the 31 Enoch Drive, like from 99.
Right.
Correct. Correct. So her references in her statement are reflecting back to when it was considered potentially divesting the town of this parcel in 2014.
Can
Right.
we see that in those things?
So, do you think, okay, so, go ahead.
So let's see, say that again. Can we see?
Pretty sure.
Well, no, I just feel like, I feel like we don't have enough information, but I feel like I was only looking at the late 90s information. Probably my mistake.
So when we get
So-
to this part of the agenda,
Okay.
definitely,
All right,
we'll more thoroughly read it.
Okay.
But I just wanted to
yeah,
put Kathy's statement in
Okay.
the public comment piece, and we can file it.
And we'll respond to that later when we get to that part of the agenda.
Okay.
She did make a point that we're not really accessing the trail from from Enoch Drive. We went up there, we drove up there, you can't even find a trailhead up there on Enoch Drive.
Right at the top of the property.
At the top of the drive, from the road, I mean.
So we'll look at
Right.
that. We'll look at
So
that as well.
she's got a point there.
Yes.
It's not real, it's supposed to be accessed from there, but
Yeah.
It isn't really.
Right.
Okay.
Okay,
Alright, So
That's the point.
let's,
okay,
don't forget your thoughts, keep them. I like
Well-
this is good,
okay, great.
but I want to get to that part of the
Alright,
agenda.
let's get to that
Okay.
later.
Okay. Next on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes of November 15th, 2016.
November 17th?
Yeah, I'm just checking right now to see which date it
Yeah.
actually was. It was the 17th.
See, me and I saw 15th at the top of my agenda. Apparently, I just jotted it down.
Oh,
How about that?
that's fine.
Okay. If you haven't had a chance, I'm going to give you a second to glance through those minutes.
Got it.
Mhm.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Next up is to review and approve the minutes of our December 10th special meeting, which was the walk at 31 Enoch Drive. And it was brought to my attention that I neglected to include attendees.
Oh,
So I will revise these to include those of us that were there. Lauren, Tracy, me, Frank,
Tom.
and Tom. Yeah, I know Julie wasn't able to make it with the scheduling conflict.
I think we also talked about what she raised is
Mhm.
the possibility of the town getting out of the homeowners agreement, like finding a way to negotiate.
Yep, okay, I can include that maybe in the bulleted list at the bottom there.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
All right. So I will make a motion to approve the minutes with the changes of who was present and adding a bullet point about the ability to exit from the Homeowners Association. Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, good.
All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor of approval with those changes?
Aye.
Very good. Okay. 2017's right around the corner, and we've been pretty good with keeping up with our trail walks, so I know, Frank, you've put forward
I volunteered to do one in
January.
January, but we also talked about possibly going to the golf course and looking at that in January.
That's right.
So,
now that
should
we're
we do
Sounds
that
cozy.
first week in January?
My preference would be to give it a go, weather permitting, of course. When it's wind chill of 0, we probably won't, but maybe it'll be a nice warm weekend.
We could get a January thaw. I mean, you never know, right?
It's-
So if it's weather permitting, we probably should do that this,
All right, so in January, we'll plan to do a walk on the country club property.
Are we doing one the 17th or no? That was we did our special meeting instead, or?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, I had not heard from Tom about any.
Yeah, no, that's
any
all
other
right.
December
Good.
walk. Yeah.
Okay.
In 2017, I'll already put flag in the ground for a trail walk at the Massaro property, aligning with their family fun day.
When was that?
That's
In October.
like the first weekend of October.
Oh, I thought we were
He's
talking
looking
about
ahead.
January. Oh, all right.
Yeah,
I'm looking
January-
at the whole year.
January, we're going to
Okay.
the country club. That's going to be great.
All right.
February, we're doing something else fun.
Sledding. No.
Sledding. Country club.
Now, we don't need to fill the calendar right now, but
Okay.
if we've got some people that want to step up and pick a month right now, clearly the calendar is open, so
Okay.
pick your favorite least busy month.
To
I'm looking at you, Lauren.
Least busy. That's funny. You want me to do March? I'll do March.
March. All right. The goal, of course, is to get one commission member to take a month.
yeah, I'll do April. It will not be April 1st.
Oh, really? Are you serious, or is that going to be an April Fool's joke and it will be held?
Yeah, we're like all comedians.
Thinking like 8th, 9th, but we can finalize that, right?
Yeah, yeah. Frank, do you have a favorite month?
What do we have? March and April yet?
We have March and April.
I'll do May then.
All right.
Why not?
Line them up.
All right, there we go. That way
We can
we'll
always change
cover
it.
that.
I was
Oh,
so nervous
also-
at the beginning that now I feel like, I mean, I'm still taking this very seriously. I just mean, at the beginning, I was like, oh my God, what do I do?
And likely June will be taken up by Connecticut Trails Day.
Oh, okay.
And we usually do our joint walk with the Orange Conservation Commission.
We usually do the same thing every year there, right, with
Yeah.
that one.
Okay.
So that'll be at the Racebrook Tract.
What day is that?
Don't know. Sometime in early June usually.
Yeah.
Look at that, 6 months already picked.
Great.
So we're good.
Best committee ever.
Progress. Any other thoughts on trail walks?
I just found the updated thing that I said I didn't have. I do have it.
Any other thoughts on
Okay,
trail
sorry,
walks?
yeah.
Or
No,
When I
we're
get
good
fired
till
from
June.
this.
That's pretty good. We got almost half the year done, so I think we did well.
okay.
I think it's
for
Okay.
now.
Okay, next is the update on the 2016 Deep Open Space and Watershed Acquisition Grant. And we had been talking about where to look with this grant. Betsy, you've been in contact with the owners of...
Yes, and all 4 of them reported that they are interested in talking about the sale of the land.
Oh,
Okay, that's progress.
It
Wow.
is.
It is.
good
Do
job.
we have a
Okay.
date for a meeting?
Bravo.
We need to, so the state will only pay for, I don't know if it's 60 or 65% of fair market value of the property. Fair market value is determined by the average of 2 appraisals for the property. So, and our appraisals are old and need to be updated. So in order to meet with them and start talking about money, we need to know what fair market value is in order to start the conversation about what they expect versus what we can pay.
I understand that, but didn't we do an appraisal last year or the year?
We did, and the
They-
appraisal was dated in January of 2016, and the grant is due February 2nd of 2017, and it needs to be a year old, less than a year old, and ours is a year old in like 10 days.
Awesome.
Wow.
And so the cost of that would come out of conservation funds, the cost of the appraisals, or?
Correct.
Partially, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to update it, so it wouldn't be the full cost of the appraisals that we did
Okay.
last year, it would be an update, which would be a reduced cost.
Oh,
Yeah.
Have we got what was the cost of the update? Do we know?
One is approximately $700, and the other one is, which is, I think, just slightly under what you have in your professional services budget,
Mhm.
and the other one is a little more than that, and Tony said we could take that out of,
Open
So,
space.
so
Yeah.
we need both. We need $1,400 approximately. We need two of them.
yeah, we need 2, otherwise there's no average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so what's the next step?
The next step is to get the appraisals, and if the average of the appraisals is close to what it was last year, then we can still afford to buy the property with the grant. If it's gone way up, then we can't afford to buy the property. If it's gone way down, that's great, but I'm not sure that the Nugents would be thrilled with that.
Mhm.
Gotcha. So
So-
we need to vote on using any money for the appraisals, or?
Yeah, so I put that specifically on the agenda just to make it clear to the public that we were gonna vote on
Mhm.
spending money for appraisals. And now we understand why,
Mhm.
that there need to be updates on the appraisals. What is the thought of the commission as to, let's say we get into January and the Nugents just don't like the price? Do we wanna try and scramble to put a grant application together for anything alternative?
There would not be time for that.
That's true, because it needs,
It takes 6 to 8 weeks for an
the
appraisal,
the
probably
appraisals
$3,000 to
are
$4,000 per appraisal.
The appraisal is a requirement of the grant, isn't it?
Yes.
Right.
So should we
That's
talk
what
to
was
them
known as the acquisition.
now and say, okay, assuming the old appraisals were valid, where are we? And looking at what we know about the market, they're probably lower. Are you willing to accept less than that? I mean, maybe just getting a preliminary.
I can
input
initiate
from
that
them.
conversation, yeah. And they have copies of the previous appraisals, so they know what those numbers are.
Mhm. Because I mean, generally we've been told the market's lower than it was a year ago.
And also.
But it has to be, I don't understand this very well, but it has to be similar property. So it's not just, in general, the market is low.
Right,
It's
okay.
parcels of this size
Particular.
in towns comparable to Woodbridge.
Mhm.
Okay,
So it's,
more complicated.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why it costs so much.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, I could just say, well, it's lower.
Right.
My personal feeling is that there's no other immediately threatened parcels in the town that we might want to jump on if this one were to go
Since
sideways.
it's so close with the deadline, I mean, so close to not missing the deadline, is there any way to either get it in, so that it doesn't,
Expedite
yeah, so that it doesn't, you know what I
The
mean?
language of the
Risk-
grant that is that it has to be within a year of the date of the deadline. And the state has allowed us to do an update of the appraisal
Yeah.
instead of pay
A
for an
full
entirely
one.
new appraisal.
Okay, yeah.
So they understand
Yeah, okay.
how close we are, and for that reason they're willing to cut us some slack, but they won't allow us to use the old one.
Yeah.
Reasonable.
Okay,
So
We've
we-
already moved the town's already moved forward with the larger cost one. So if it would be very helpful if we would move forward. The commission would move forward with the lower cost one.
Yeah.
okay.
So
We go for it, I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's
I move to
this,
vote.
this property or nothing for this
Yeah.
round of the grant.
And
Okay.
you already did so much work last year. The grant is probably
pretty much
98% done.
Yeah.
If we have all four individuals on board, from the family, I don't think we came that close last time, did we? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so.
So now we have four individuals interested, so
All right.
I think we,
So we'll be all in on 1875 Litchfield Turnpike as the target for this grant. We're not going to spend any energy looking at other parcels as a plan B.
Okay,
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Then let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is to discuss and vote upon spending for a appraisal update of 1875 Litchfield Turnpike. So Betsy had laid out the costs, roughly $700. We do have professional services as part of our budget and conservation. So I'll make a motion that we use our professional services budget line item to pay for the appraisal update.
I'll second it.
All right. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
yep,
All right.
Aye.
Great.
Okay,
okay.
so we can move forward with that, and wouldn't it be something if it actually
Yeah,
worked out?
I was just gonna say that.
It'd be a really great
That would be
connection of
great.
two big parcels of
Yeah.
open space.
The land values really haven't gone up in Woodbridge very much, have they?
I don't think so.
The
No.
last year or so? No,
No, they haven't.
But this particular type of appraisal
It's different.
No, but
is
I'm
a little
saying
different.
the family may
Oh,
take that
Yeah.
into consideration, that the
Right.
land values in Woodbridge haven't been
Right.
going up, so
Yeah.
the longer they wait, the chances are
Yeah,
the appraisal comes in even less, so we may actually have a chance to do it this time
As
around.
long
Let's
as,
hope
they're
so.
willing to take what's on the table.
Great.
and we've got more time to have a discussion with them, knowing that all four of them are on board with.
That's great.
With at
And,
least
and thank you,
discussing.
Betsy, for doing that,
Yeah, that's
for
a
opening
giant-
that up for us.
yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, now on to the meaty part of the discussion tonight is 31 Enoch Drive. So the proposal that was put forward, as I mentioned back in 2014.
Yes, which I apologize, I do have. I misspoke.
Was the consideration of selling the 6.2 acres and saving the town ongoing homeowners association and maintenance fees of the road that goes up to the parcel. We on the Conservation Commission had drafted a
January 2nd, 215?
yeah, drafted a letter of recommendation, and I went before the Board of Selectmen with this, ready to go. And at that meeting, it was brought to my attention that there was no protection on the trail, the greenway, as it stood. That the only protection was on the gas line, which wasn't even crossing 31 Enoch at all. The gas line is in the abutting property, and we had seen that on our walk,
Right.
where the dogs were.
Yes.
A nice big lawn.
Yes.
So when that came up, I withdrew the letter. I did not submit it, and said we needed to go back and review the property, the trail, and consider what should be done. So, since that time, there's still interest from the abutting property owner. If the town wanted to sell it, he has interest in purchasing it. But I guess the bigger question before us is what sort of recommendation would we like to make? So on the trail walk, we had lots of good discussion among ourselves and those that were present.
I have some questions. Is this time?
This is time. Let's get into it. Yeah.
Right.
So when the town is proposing selling this, and the motivation is that the cost is because of the homeowners association. So our thoughts are, if we could get out of the homeowners association, that would be a reason to keep it, or are there other reasons why we would want to?
So reasons to sell it would be, it would give an initial money to the town from the sale of the parcel, and then it would stop the ongoing expenses of.
But assuming we didn't have to pay for the homeowners, somehow we
Right.
limited that obligation, would it still be as appealing to sell?
Well, that's
I
for us to
think
discuss.
I understand what you. In other words, we're in this compact with the homeowners to pay for all these expenses, right?
Well,
That's
and
just
it's-
an agreement that we have, right?
And it's
If that didn't
plowing.
exist,
Yeah.
we can own the property without that agreement. However,
I don't think the town should be in a homeowners.
Why?
agreement.
Yeah. Why?
Should not.
That's a question I
So
had
either we
also.
should
Why
sell
is
it
the
or
town
get out of
in a
it.
homeowners agreement on a private drive? It's not a town road. It's a private drive.
But I had another question that we
I
didn't
feel
discuss.
like it was because of the easement, no?
It was
I
originally.
feel like that's what propelled that. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, you're probably right, but the easement was for access to the property. It was written in one of the
Yeah, the Board of Selectmen minutes from.
minutes. Yeah,
March
it was
99.
supposed to be for access to that property, and we really
So it
don't have
doesn't
much
apply.
access
All
from
right,
that
so
property.
maybe-
From that property itself, we have access from the other parking areas.
I don't know if this is totally impractical.
However,
Could we divide the property so that the town owns the property where the trail is, and then
Not
sell
the
the
road.
rest? Or would no one be interested in that? I can't think of how that would look in terms of.
In one of the other minutes there. Okay, so this is from May of '99. It was a TPZ memorandum,
yep.
and they have a bulleted list at the bottom of it. And one of the bullet points mentions the need for safe parking areas to gain access to the trails. The one thing that this does have, and it's not, as Frank, you were talking earlier, if you go to the end of 31 Enoch, if you go to the end of Enoch Drive, it's a dead end. There's a flat area that could easily park 3 or 4 cars. And it could be a trailhead into the greenway. Right now, there is no signage.
No, there isn't.
Or no blaze that leads you onto the trail. But the trail does come within 100 feet or so of that parking area. So that's sort of to counter the point of selling off that road, that access point.
Gotcha. Or what about the rest of the lot? You still have the access point, but not be
You don't-
involved with the homeowners association, because it's really not, you think of a homeowners association as a residential, you're not serving, it's not, you don't own a home, it's not a really residential property, it's just a trail.
Right.
I don't know, that's my convoluted thought about it.
Yeah. And
And that might be a crazy harebrained thought, but I just want to throw it out there.
the fees that the town's been responsible for is about, and this is 2014, $1,500 for plowing. There was $400 in legal fees,
Yeah, the town needs to get out of all that.
and then $200 in insurance.
I was trying to find alternatives where we would still protect the trail, but not be involved in the homeowners fees, because I don't think the town should be involved in that at all.
Yeah, and I think Kathy's recommendation sounded reasonable, at least from my perspective, that maybe the town write an agreement that it plows the road in exchange for not being in the homeowners association.
Another benefit to the owners of those properties is that this property is not being developed because the town owns it. So they are getting a benefit simply by the fact of the town owning the property, which I would think would go in the town's favor when discussing that.
Yep. Yep. What are other thoughts?
So I think the most important thing is to establish the greenway in whatever area needs to be established, so that we can protect that regardless of what happens to the property.
Yeah.
So if we need an easement,
So I'll open up the wallpaper here.
yeah, I think that's the most important consideration right now.
So, I feel like I'm blocking out the sun here. So everybody recognizes this from the weekend,
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
right.
And we did walk through. This was drawn specifically so that
No, I remember.
we could visit the property and
Yeah.
say, yep, the trail really does follow this
Yeah.
dotted line.
And does it?
It does.
That's the big question that
Yeah.
the town had.
It really does.
Yep, we identified
We walked
specific
it.
trees
Yep.
on there.
And we found the things in the ground.
Yep.
The
Tracy found the stake.
That's right.
Tracy found the
Both of them, right?
boundary
It was-
marker.
Town, this highway
I
marker.
found something.
What'd you find?
I found the ribbon thing
The
around
ribbons on the
tree.
trees,
that's
which
right. That was
pointed
And
and
then we
every
found,
okay.
Tracy found the things on the, it
Teamwork.
was like a
Yeah.
treasure hunt, scavenger hunt. It was fun, freezing, but,
It was great.
so yes, seems accurate.
Okay, good.
It's the-
I
this.
personally don't have a good sense of what the answer is, but I defer to
Well,
those
the
who
easement
have a
runs
little more
along the
knowledge.
pipeline right now. am I
Right, the
correct?
gas line.
Which is,
I printed out
Which
a
is-
small version
so,
of. So, that's the small version.
Yeah,
Oh, it almost matches this map.
we walked.
right, so the easement,
So when we did our walk, we came up past the horse farm to the crest of the hill where there was
Remember the dogs?
there was the gas
I remember the
line.
dogs.
Yeah.
The dogs were
The dogs right
there,
there,
and then they
okay.
followed us over here.
there were
So-
4 giant dogs.
We came across
Is this when Jason?
Latronica's property and
Right.
across
Let's do
the Newman
something.
property to get onto Enoch. And then we went down the hill, which has got some switchbacks,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately exited on the Latronica property right next to the turnpike.
Yes.
by Emily Road, right?
And then we walked halfway down looking for landmarks and then cut back up through the woods randomly to find the iron pipe.
The iron pipe. That's what Tracy found.
But I think we're all in agreement that the trail does follow what the surveyor had
Yes.
put on this map.
Right. Does that help us make a decision?
No.
Well, it
Well-
answers the question that the town had put forward, is this correct?
Okay, so yes, yay, we did
This is
something.
correct.
Okay, great.
And it's a much better solution than the easement that's on the gas line, as we have all witnessed.
Okay,
The
yes.
gas line has these wonderfully vocal pooches that like to come and say hello whenever you're walking past.
Yes.
Warm and fuzzy, cuddly.
There was also discussion about instead of cutting across 2 parcels, if the trail could get moved off of the Newman property so you're only working with Latronica. to move over a little bit. And unfortunately, this giant map doesn't show the road or the gas line. But I had printed this, if this helps at all. So this big wormy looking thing is the
Yeah.
trail, and then this parcel here is Enoch.
Okay,
so you
so
can see
what
the gas
do
line
you
goes
want-
way up here past the house.
So what do you want to decide on now?
We still have to get the location of the trail so we can somehow get the property owners to agree to the easement rather than having it go where the pipeline's going through, where we have the easements going right through the center
Yeah.
of someone's property.
See,
Right.
that's the
So we
issue,
still have to
too.
get the folks to agree to that. Am I
Right.
correct on that?
But
There's no easement on Newman or Latronica
Either
for,
Newman
the,
or
as,
Laconia.
for where the trail crosses.
Oh.
Either property.
So
We don't
that's
have
a
an
big
easement,
problem.
so
Oh,
that's
that's a
an issue.
problem.
I think that's the issue right
So
now.
this is almost useless if you cannot
So-
cross that property.
right, yes. So
However, they're not objecting to what's going on that property because if we didn't go this route, we'd be going right through the center of their yard. where
Right.
the
By
pipeline
legal
goes.
right, we can go on the gas line.
Right,
Oh,
but
yes.
it's to their advantage to have us going away from there. It gives them more private if we go away from the gas line because the gas line is more to the center of that property.
Correct.
Right.
so remind me from Kathy Wick's analysis, because that seemed to make a lot of sense to me what she said.
Mm-hmm.
So does that address what Frank just said? Does that?
No.
Does her, okay, I thought it did. So okay.
Her comments were about selling the property could be conceived as a precedent for selling open
So that's
space
separate
and-
from our, okay, so yeah, all right, I don't
I
know.
think that's a unique situation.
It
though,
is, it's
I
very
don't
unique.
really see
because
that
it's
as being.
I don't know.
But it's not gonna solve the easement thing anyway.
It's not a legal precedent. It's just
Right.
an annoyance, so that other.
We're not gonna
homeowners
sell
can
the
say,
easement.
You know,
We need
you
to-
sold that one,
right.
but it's not.
How we do
it's
that?
not a legal precedent. So I
Mhm.
don't know.
Okay. Well, we're at a standstill.
Well,
No, I think I'm
Is-
just
is-
trying to. I'm still.
is there a general feeling to keep or sell the parcel?
To keep it.
You know
I
what?
think that's where we're landing.
I don't know, it feels like that's
Jason,
what
what
I'm
you,
supposed to say.
this letter
Doesn't
of
it?
January
Or no?
2nd,
I don't know.
this
Okay,
letter,
I
I think it expresses exactly what we
Yes,
what
to
we
get out of
think,
that.
because we already
Get out of the
discussed
homeowners
it.
agreement.
The only problem
And we'll
is,
have the easement.
having the homeowners agree to moving that easement,
It's like this.
Right.
you know, where the easement
So-
exists.
Okay.
Is that fair
Is that one of
statement?
these?
I mean, I think we all kind of feel like everything in the letter that we did on January 2nd, 2015,
Yeah.
that's pretty much the way we all felt. If we could keep the easement, you know, and then if the town still wanted to sell the property,
So how about a first approach would be to try to negotiate out of the homeowners agreement, and if that does not work, then sell it with, you know, the easement and, you know, how will the funds be allocated to all that.
Is that walk one of these?
It's like a deck of cards.
how many you got?
I took them all.
It's the round hill.
Round Hill, yeah, this one of those.
The
Yeah, this
third
one of
on your
those. Yeah,
left.
you're right.
Ladensbrook, Russell
That's the one.
Swamp, and Round Hill Trails.
That's the one.
So this is going to answer our question,
Okay,
because it's the trail marking.
It is.
I'm not following you, Lauren.
Well, in terms of easement, I mean, this is, if someone's like, hey, I'm new to Woodbridge, I'm gonna walk here, this is so cool, here I go. And I'm happy to follow it, so that's great, we just need,
Except
Their
that trail
permission.
is not on the where the easement is. Am I correct?
So
I mean,
we
the easement
need-
is on the pipeline.
so
Along the
do
pipeline.
someone need to call them, like, how do we get, what does
So
the
that's
next
the
step?
third issue, is formalizing an easement for this trail that's not on the
Cause this makes it look like you're all set to go.
I'm not 100% sure because it's been a while since I talked about this, but I think that the town engineer created the map, the large map that Jason has, after speaking with the property owners.
I feel like we need someone else here who has expertise in planning and zoning or the legal issues.
So
We go back to that
how
thing
long-
where
I
we
feel like
need
we're
a
making a
joint
decision in a
meeting.
vacuum.
How long is
And
that
it's
trail
not-
existed in that
it's
position,
not a good
that,
decision
where it
making.
is right
Do you
Oh,
now?
wanna
it's
look
been
at
30
this? This
years.
is very
Oh,
helpful.
it's been there for 30 years?
Yes, yeah. We've seen
Yeah.
it.
If that trail's been there for 30 years, that could be legally, you know, evidence of
It's
occupation.
grandfathered in.
It's sort of something of
I
that
deem
sort.
it.
I
Give me
mean,
a gavel.
we should really check on that, if there's a
Jason's like,
legal,
get her off
Can
the
we
bus.
have like
precedent to
Dare
that.
come or
if
I
something's
don't
been
know,
there for
some-
30 years
I
and it
agree
hasn't
with
been,
you.
and it
Yes.
hasn't been protested for 30
it's-
years.
And it's so steep.
I also believe that there's a challenge to amending somebody else's deed with an easement, unless they're willing to
Right.
write it and do the attorney's fees, or maybe the town would pay for attorney's fees to have the easement put in place on these two parcels that are next to it.
Well, our question is how much do we
Oh, I
really
see.
need
We're
it?
really
We don't
almost
know
in Bethany.
how essential is that to protect the walkway as represented in the map right now.
Well, theoretically, they could just stop you from walking on
Yeah.
that part, and then
I mean,
the public walks in their front yard. So as Frank mentioned, it's in the homeowner's best interest to allow it to stand. But taking the long view on it, you never know who will buy the property and what sort of unneighborly things they might do.
But that seems like a separate issue than what we've been asked to decide. And we've been asked to decide about 31 and what people do with those other two. I mean, that would be there whether or not we owned 31. So I think we're getting ourselves off target. And I think it's an important issue, but it's not
Yeah,
the issue
yeah.
in front of us right now. So I think we should try to think about 31 separate from that piece.
Okay. I'm not sure you can, but I understand where you're going with it, to help focus us.
this is hilarious. Small children and pets are not recommended.
There's a steep trail.
I said that.
They go rolling right on down.
Oh my goodness.
The greenway
Okay.
certainly goes through the parcel, and one of the intents is to have a contiguous greenway through the town. The idea of having additional parking is nice. As everybody saw on Saturday, parking to access that part of the trail is tricky. You either park down on the Meadowbrook, or you don't park.
Or you
Yeah,
could
right.
park on 67 and walk all the way up
Yeah.
across the other trails.
Okay, I'm coming from all these things are
I mean,
nice,
that's a
but we
long
shouldn't
walk.
be in a homeowner's agreement.
Right.
I keep going back to, yeah, that's all great, but we
Mhm.
shouldn't be in a homeowner's agreement. So
So when
what
you-
can we do about the homeowners agreement? I think, because we all agree that those things are nice to have,
Okay.
but
All right. So we got to find out what options there are for exiting the homeowners agreement.
yeah.
My suggestion would be seeing if the town would plow it to eliminate association fees. But I don't know what that gets us into in terms
I don't,
of legal hot water.
We need, again, we need to,
I don't know how tight those agreements are.
I don't think we can talk about the strategy for negotiating it. We probably need to talk to the town. Or,
All right.
I think our decision is just, should we try to negotiate it?
So at the moment where we stand is where we've stood for the last year.
But we've
Is
seen
we're
the
not-
property
is-
now.
is we're not ready to make a recommendation to
Right.
sell or not sell
We're not
the
ready.
parcel.
We want to explore getting out of the homeowners agreement. And
should-
if we
should
can't, then we would make that decision about whether or not to make the recommendation. We can decide right now what that recommendation would be. I'm prepared to do that. I don't know if other people are.
Should we contact the homeowners and see if they're in agreement to, you know, like concreting this thing into their deed where
That's
it-
something that the town attorney would do, and he may have already done that.
Okay, so that's an important thing to find out then.
Yes.
If the town attorney's done that, then that takes that right off the table, and I think that's an important aspect of this whole thing, because, you know, we need to have the homeowners comfortable with you know, where the trail is now, rather
Absolutely.
than on the pipeline where it was going through their property. And I'm sure they would be, but we have to, you know, verify that, I believe.
So you need to know that before we make any other decisions.
Well, I think we should,
It
I
feels
think that's
like
an
the right
important
way to
aspect of
go.
it, right,
Yes.
yes, because that would,
Right? I think so.
I'm good having a hypothetical
'cause-
discussion.
yeah,
Okay.
that
So
would,
I know other
that would
people
make
feel
concrete
uncomfortable with
that
that,
this
so-
is where the trail is, and our greenway's not gonna be broken,
Right.
right? And I think that's what we're all looking
Hypothetically, we
for.
should get out of the homeowners agreement and keep the land. I think.
Well, if that's possible, but I don't
If
know how
that's
possible
possible.
that would be. Yeah, that'd be great, yeah, great.
Hypothetically.
I didn't see anything in the deed about the homeowners.
Hypothetically,
Agreement.
optimistically, from a conservation point of view, that would be good.
Does anyone feel strongly that we need to sell off the land because there's a $4,000 financial drain to the town that we need to get rid of? And
Well-
get that initial income of 120,000 from the sale of the property.
$4,000 a year?
Yeah.
For me, it's more the drain than the income. I don't like that we're paying that every year.
Okay.
I keep coming back.
Well,
to this.
it's a recurring expense to the town. I mean, it's not just, you know, the expense that is gonna happen once, you know.
Right.
So,
That's the problem.
I mean,
And
I
this
think
has been
that should
going
be,
on
I think it
forever?
should be a consideration,
Since
you
99.
know.
Okay.
And the reason that this came up in 2014 was because
Yes.
the homeowners contacted the town to say, please give us an additional, I don't know what the amount was, because they want to repave the road.
Right. And since
Oh.
then, the road has been repaved.
Oh,
And I forgot to ask Tony what the number was on that, but.
I remember it
the-
being.
So-
the budgeted number was.
So the
$8,000.
cost of maintaining the
they wanted
property
to
went up.
repave Enoch,
is
right?
what ended up
I remember
happening,
when they
to a certain
repaved that.
extent.
I was here for that. Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so sounds like we're not going to settle on any recommendations yet.
We've reached no conclusion.
Um,
What
we-
is our goal? What are we
Well,
doing
I-
between
well,
now
I-
and next meeting?
Well,
I think we'll follow up with
We're
the
gonna
town
follow
attorney
up.
about
Passing the buck.
We're gonna follow up with the
follow
town
up
attorney.
about
That's
the
a true
Homeowners
question.
Association,
Yes.
where he had or did not have discussions with them already.
I'll check with Jerry Weiner on that. My hunch is that he did, because why else would the town have asked the town engineer to create this map showing where the trail is versus where the easement is?
Yeah.
So that's my
So,
hunch, but
I'm gonna throw out this hypothetical.
Okay.
Assuming that we cannot exit the homeowners association, do we keep the property or don't we? My feeling is that we keep it because it is a drain, but it's not a massive impact. Which kind of kills me a little bit because me putting on my non-for-profit hat and pinching pennies.
So what happened to the idea of selling it with an easement on it?
I kind of like the easement, you know, if it gets sold, to keep the easement. I mean, I think
Yeah,
it's
why?
really the town's decision in a way whether they want to keep that. I mean, we have to advise, but you know, in a way, you know, they're the one that are footing the bill, right?
Yeah.
They're footing the bill for it, so.
The one
It's really-
real example that I have in the front of my mind about easements is we've got some easements around the old Toll Brothers development off of Beecher Road. It's a winding path
Behind the houses?
between the houses,
Oh.
and the homeowners just chuck out all kinds of crap all over the place across the trail.
Because of that?
No,
Oh.
because
They
don't have a concern for it.
Oh.
Because
They don't honor them.
right, and while I don't imagine that happening immediately, but there could be situations in the future where now they're gonna build a house, and then the easement protects the greenway, but it still allows for a building lot. But now to get to it, we're gonna be walking through their backyard, and they're gonna put a fence right up against it, and then they're gonna start throwing all their grass clippings over it and tree branches and putting obstructions on it. And then getting into legal situations.
I think we should have a tiered proposal, like get out of the homeowners agreement, keep it. If we can't get out of the homeowners agreement, you could say don't sell it. My guess is the town wants to sell it, so then sell it with an easement, and having priorities, and selling it without an easement being the absolute last priority. Somehow prioritizing our, this is our what we want, but if you must sell it, this is how we would like to see it.
And it feels uncomfortable saying this, but already there's debris throughout, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, even though it's not the easement, a good point is they're throwing the debris all over the lot that's already there. We saw that when we walked through.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's a lot that doesn't get used very much,
Yeah.
the neighbors are taking advantage of it. So, in a way, regardless of whether it was on the easement property or the whole property, they kind of would do the same thing. They're doing it already. We saw that when we did
Yeah.
the walk.
And again, I appreciate
So-
the value of this continuous trail, but do we need to take into account how much people might actually use it? Considering that it is going through basically, right between houses, and it's
Mhm.
it's not particularly scenic, it's kind of a challenging walk for some people. It's, is the value less for our purposes because fewer people would actually use it, considering, is that something that we should even give some thought to? Or is it just we need the continuing trail and it doesn't matter?
Well, I think we should definitely honor the original intent of the Greenway in Woodbridge, was
Yeah,
to have
no,
a
I
continu-
think the
continuous.
Greenway is
And,
I think terrific.
I agree.
Yes.
and,
I
and
agree.
And
So-
there are some people that find parts of our Greenway very boring. Because
But
it's
that's
flat
how.
and wide.
But so
And this
that,
is exciting because
right,
it's
that
steep
would-
and
yeah.
setbacks.
I like the challenge of the seat,
Yeah.
but I'm wondering
Yes.
about, going between yards, how many people are going to be as eager.
And the people
I
who
don't know.
joined us who aren't on this commission, I feel like felt very strongly, and they have walked it numerous times. So I wouldn't discount.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, okay. Okay. So I think that's a good plan.
What was the
What
plan?
is it? What is it?
The tiered plan.
So there's
The
a lot of
tiered-
options.
Yes, the
other
tiered
option-
approach plan. Go ahead.
The other option is, I guess it was sort of brought up here, see if maybe the town could bargain to plow the road and not have some of the other expenses, and then just keep the property.
I think that would be our first recommendation. Is that what we had
I
said?
mean, the trucks are out anyhow, so maybe if they.
Wait, so let us wait a minute. So they weren't plowing Enoch?
No, the town wasn't, I
It's a
think they have a private
contractor. plows that road.
contractor to plow the road, so we might be able to, I don't know if the town would be willing to do that, but let's say the town is willing to take on the plow, they're up there anyhow plowing the other part of
Yes.
Enoch Lane.
So
But if they would just go the extra, and maybe
This
that
is
would
really
fulfill
going
their
to
part of the agreement rather than
Uh-huh.
paying for these other things that they're paying for.
Right. It's just,
That's another option, but I don't.
that would be
I don't know
our
if they'd be
effort to
interested in
get out of the
something like
expenses
that.
of the Homeowners Association and keep the property. That would be our number one recommendation. I think that's what we're hearing. And then
That
number
sounds
two
like a
would
good
be,
plan.
just keep it the way it is. I don't know. I'm not sure I agree with that, but I think that's what I'm hearing.
Mhm.
And then, sell it with easement, and last choice being sell it without easement. Is that those?
I'm following you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we
Um,
can sell it without easement, but we're right. I
But
guess.
I think prioritizing our
complex.
recommendation, recognizing that there are other forces, so, we would like to see it kept, but if you are gonna sell it, these are the things we want you to, this is how we'd like you to approach that sale. which I think
I-
you kind of address in your letter. Anyway.
Yep, my original letter said could be sold so long as crucial aspects were addressed.
And maybe now
it-
the whole plowing thing is different, and now it's almost 2017. They may have a whole new. Do they?
Maybe the road is heated.
Yeah, I thought that original letter came pretty close.
They put in radiant heat.
Pretty close, except for we didn't know about the,
All right.
So I just
Yes.
was asking Ellen because I couldn't remember.
Oh,
And she
great.
said that if Latronica purchased the property, it would have a conservation easement to protect the trail.
Yep.
Okay.
So, if it were sold.
Okay.
Great.
So often with recommendations, I like to see a
Pro and con.
because we
Yes.
recommend selling, we recommend not selling.
Yes.
But it sounds like we're leaning towards a get out of the Homeowners Association.
Well, if
or
it,
keep it as is, or
I don't like keep it as is.
we don't like keep it as is. We want with less cost to the town
keep the easement, keep
and
the
keep
property.
and fix the path
Keep
up
the
a little bit.
access with less
And
cost to the town.
Fix
I
the
mean,
path up a little bit. Poor Mike Walters, is that his name?
yeah.
Is working so hard to make. I mean,
You're right.
with you. To,
Well, Mike does most of it.
it's a lot of work and there's stuff from people.
Should we include?
We get some help though. I mean, there's some good volunteers in town, so
Well,
we're lucky that way.
Should we include in our easement recommendation that it encompass a parking area with access to the trail at the end of Enoch Drive? I don't know how many people go, honestly, I don't know how many
Sure,
people
there's
go
not-
down there because as soon as you drive onto that road, it says private property.
Yes, and it's
Yeah,
it's
that,
kind of
that's
scary.
another issue.
I
We
didn't
can't
go
even
down there
find a
for a long
trailhead there.
time.
Is there a
What's
trailhead?
that? And it
I don't.
says
I
one
didn't
way.
really see a
It's
trailhead.
not
I
ahead
think
there,
people
but
are
it
laughing
could
at me.
be.
It could be right. It has never been established. The trail has never been established
Yeah.
there.
And I'm just reflecting back to the original.
It's getting-
I think we should sell it
Once.
with an easement.
And the easement would protect the trail
I think
where it
that's what we
actually is versus
Yes.
the current easement that does not protect where people are actually
Right.
walking.
Right. Okay. I'm
Then
swayed.
is the town also paying like a property tax on it too? How does that
We
work?
wouldn't
Or
pay
we
taxes to
ourselves?
ourselves.
We're not- we don't have that.
Now there's still a buildable lot on that parcel. So
Right. So that's
Well,
the-
that's how it goes. And who's gonna want that? I mean, all right.
well, there's the opportunity to build a house, knock down all the trees on the slope, so that they have a view
And
across
then
the
they're
valley.
gonna
something
sink.
something in the deed about the trees
They're
can't be
not?
knocked down. Did you see that?
Are you
Yeah.
gonna sing?
There's something in the deed about the
Yeah,
trees.
Well,
can't
that
be-
deed was for
I've heard it's
I don't know.
the Latronica piece.
Super steep.
It's unbelievable. Yeah,
goes
there's
up
something in there about
and
that.
down.
They didn't.
Because now we're saying, oh, it could be built. I mean, the point is we're trying to
It's unbelievable.
protect.
Right,
The
that's
trail.
the problem. So
We're
now we're not
You
selling.
know, now we're going to like, oh, but they might build a
Getting
house,
late.
but it's not this pristine hiking area anywhere. So, I don't know. It's ugly already, quite frankly. So if there's one more house, that's the way the trail is, but you still have access. You know, and when you're going to hike through a residential
was
neighborhood,
only-
you're going to see a house.
It's
So you
probably
see one
very
more.
pretty in the fall,
You know?
just because we went dead of winter. It's freezing out.
I think the important thing is the access to maintain.
I know it was brisk, a
greenway.
lovely brisk day.
So I'm
Yes,
getting more
that's right, it
blunt.
was
You
nice.
know, it's
Then, oh,
getting
this is
later.
good.
As
That's a good
time
thing.
wears on, I forget about the camera. Let me tell you, those dogs are not inviting.
You mean that bark was not something that said, "Come here and pet me"?
No,
Okay.
there were 4 of them that I counted.
All right. So back to the letter that I had written.
Okay.
a year-
Punchy.
2 years
Yeah,
ago.
getting punchy.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything. Don't take anything personally.
The commission felt
Yes.
the property could be sold so long as several crucial aspects were addressed. First, the greenway is protected in the final deed by means of a conservation easement. The protection would be a 50-foot trail corridor with the trail running through the center with 25 feet on either side.
Wide?
Yeah, that's what
100
they're
feet
supposed to
wide.
be.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's nowhere near that now.
No, it isn't. No, but technically it is, the path isn't that
No,
wide.
but
Technically it is.
Our recommendation is assuring that there is
Okay, fine.
protected space of approximately
Okay.
100 feet around this
Okay.
trail.
Terrific.
To
No, really, that's great.
alleviate
That's not at all what it is now.
to
but
alleviate
no.
the issue that we have
About 5
Okay,
feet.
over
yeah.
that toll.
You had to go single file.
So that was the first point. The second one was that the funds from the sale be used for improvement for other existing open space or undeveloped properties. We know that doesn't necessarily happen because it goes into the general fund when a property is sold. But that is our
We can recommend that.
that is our point.
Okay, so that sounds good. What else?
Those were the only.
That
Two.
sounds perfect.
Great.
Resubmit.
8:27. Are we adjourning?
I thought that was
That sounds fine. Let's resubmit.
pretty right on. I mean, I thought
I
that was
agree.
good. The only problem was the problem about the easement, that where it was and
Oh my
where it
God.
existed.
All right. Any other thoughts on what kind of a recommendation we might want to make to the Board of Selectmen?
Sell it with an easement with those terms.
Is that the feeling?
Well, that is ideal, but I understand the other side of it. So
What's the other side? That there might be a
Which
house?
is,
yeah,
just keep the whole
and-
thing? Is that what you're
Just-
feeling?
Yeah. And what Kathy said at the beginning of the meeting. I don't know. It's complex.
It is unusually complicated, believe it or not. It's not just a 4-acre parcel sitting around
Right.
other houses.
No, it's right.
It's-
Yes, it's.
I
not.
think maybe we should get some input from the other members of the commission.
Yes, and also maybe from the town attorney. What happened to that idea?
Well, we're still gonna.
What do the other
Find out.
homeowners say besides Litchfield Tpke? Does anyone have any opinion about, do they care one way or the other?
Don't know.
I guess they'd be here if they cared.
Or if they're, hopefully they're aware that there are things going on. Why don't we've got a letter written.
Okay.
Why don't we get the last info from Jerry
Okay.
about what can be done with this homeowners association? So it sounds like if we can get out of the homeowners association with some negotiation, for example.
Then there's no
the
issue.
town
Then we
plows
just
it,
keep it.
Then we just keep it.
Right. Absolutely.
That's very easy. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
If there's no, yeah.
If that can't be negotiated, then we're stuck with the homeowners association.
Which I understand
And then
now
we go to
better
that
because of if
recommendation.
it's private, I
And
get
then we
that.
would submit this recommendation.
Yeah. Good. Great. Good
Clear?
work.
I think I'm clear.
Yeah, I'm good
Yes.
with that. I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any sense of how much it would sell for? Or
I'm sure
appraisal
someone
or
knows,
whatever.
but I don't know.
We don't have an appraisal, but it was
It
sold.
can't be very much.
Well,
It's terrible.
It was 125 that it was purchased for.
yeah,
right?
in '99, and
It's probably less now.
So
We don't
now
have
it's gonna
appraisal.
go
What would it be now?
$4.
$4.
15 cents. I'll give you $50.
All right. If there's no further discussion on that,
Okay.
I will wrap the meeting up with my chairman's report.
Okay.
The only thing I have is that the Parks Association, Land Trust, Historical Society, and there was another organization involved, are starting up the Notable Tree Project in town for particular species or large specimens of a particular species.
I think the Woodbridge
To be
Garden
nominated.
Club is part of that.
Yes. Yes, that was the other organization.
Mm-hmm.
So what, are we gonna vote on, I'm sorry, I'm still
No, we're
stuck
not
on the
voting.
last one. We're not gonna vote, we're gonna vote on at the next meeting, or?
We're not voting because we're gonna get information from the town attorney and we're gonna, something else. We just said, I already forgot.
I just feel like we keep like going in this quagmire.
But
We're
we'll
not
see if we
deciding
can
anything.
get out of the homeowners
We're gonna try to get-
association.
right. So we're not voting yet. Once we learn that,
There
then
was
we're gonna go
consensus,
forward.
but there was no official vote. The
Yeah.
consensus was see what town attorney has to say. Failing that,
Cause if
this
the
letter
And I'm
town
still
can,
leaning towards maybe selling, but let's see what he has to say.
if the town can plow and we're not draining that money, I feel like that's a
If the town's willing
huge.
to do that, I don't know. what
Right,
would,
because
you
it's a
know.
private road and that's why they don't do it. Like there
They
must be
generally
some
don't
kind
do
of a.
private roads, but,
Right,
you know,
okay.
if they're tied into
I
that
don't know why.
agreement.
We
Right,
should
but-
Generally
just
not in
make it a
agreements. I don't know
non-private
how this
road
agreement-
anymore.
Well, yeah,
Well, the
because we
town
might need
owns
the
part of the
access, so we
road,
have an
so-
Okay,
interest
I'm
there.
good. All right,
Okay.
onto your agenda.
All right,
Well, that was the only thing. The notable tree project, for those that are
there was a
interested.
meeting, but I couldn't make it.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
those that are interested, you can contact the Land Trust, the Parks Association, the Garden Club, or the Historical Society.
Yep.
And I'll try to get something on the Conservation Commission's page, webpage as well.
Okay. And these are new, right?
And we have these new
Yes,
fancy,
these are new.
fantastic trail
So come
maps.
get them and follow them.
And they're out here at Town Hall. in
They
the
are,
hallway.
and they're also on the town's website.
And they're great. Especially this one.
Is that the Round Hill one?
Yeah.
It
No,
is a
they're
fun
really
trail.
good. Honestly, it's really good. They're all really good. This one is the best.
Petting zoo at the top.
Graceburg Estate.
They're also on the COG site, the conference.
No, I know. I'm
Yes.
just saying, this is so
I
cool.
believe.
They are very nice. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor?
Yes,
Aye.
thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Let's
Oh
go
my
home.
God.
Okay.